Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Usman Ali, an English lecturer from the platform of the Muslim College Gojra with an English lecture, correction of verb practice. I have extracted these 5 points from our first lesson in book 1, button. The old students will be revising these concepts, and the students who are aspiring to join us in the new session will be attending my lecture as a new. These concepts are very important for our 5 marks question in our board examination, which is the correct use of verb. The first of the point I have written is use of after and before in past perfect tense. And every student knows that all 3 past tenses take verbs past form, past participle form, that is verbs third form. And the helping verbs used in these 3 perfect tenses are has or have, had, will or shall plus have. Has or have for present perfect tense. Has is used for third person singular. Have is used for first person singular as well as second person singular and plural and first person plural. Had for past perfect tense and will or shall have for future perfect tense. But my basic focus on in this point is on the use of after and before in past perfect tense. I've written 2 sentences here. I'll elaborate this concept based on these 2 sentences. The mother had made our breakfast before we got up. The mother had made our breakfast before we got up. Before is a conjunction. Before is a conjunction, and there are 2 clauses written on both wings of before. To understand what I'm teaching to you is to analyze which of these 2 actions is happening first and which is happening at the second. The mother had made our breakfast. Before conjunction is telling you whatever is happening before this conjunction is an action completing first. Before, the mother had made our breakfast before we got. It means we got up later, then this happened. Before we got up, we are getting up later, but mother is making breakfast first. So this is the first action. This is an action completing first, and this is an action completing second. The action completing first is with had plus verbs past participle form, which means past perfect tense. And the action completing second is with past form of verb, which is past tense. So the conclusion is, if you combine 2 clauses using conjunction before in past perfect tense, you will translate the action completing first in past perfect tense and the action completing second in past tense. The next sentences, both the sentences mean the same. We got up after the mother had made our breakfast. I gave you a concept that you have to look for the sentence, the action happening first. Whatever is occurring first, you have to extract out that first. The mother had made our breakfast. We got up after. After it means the mother had made our breakfast first, then we got up. So the mother had made our breakfast is action completing first. That again has been translated in had plus verbs past participle, which means past perfect tense, and the action happening second, action completing second is in verbs second form, that is past tense. So we can make a conclusion of this point saying if we have past perfect tense, we have sentences based on past perfect tense where there are two actions. One is happening first, the other is occurring second. The action occurring first, the incident occurring first should be translated in past perfect tense, that is had plus verbs past participle form, and action occurring second should be translated in past tense, which is verbs second form. I hope you might have understood it. Next point I have written is use of to with verbs. Most of the teachers tell us that to can only be used with present form of verb, which is called an infinitive, For example, to eat, to go, to take rest, to take exercise. These are all infinitives, and they do not move forward and tell you that to can also be used with present participle and gerund, which is also verbs present form plus ing, and past participle, which is verbs third form. To makes an infinitive when it takes verbs present form with it, and to plus present participle which functions as an adjective is another thing. And gerund, verbs present form plus ing, gerund means verbs present form plus ing functioning as a noun is another thing. To plus past participle acting, functioning as an adjective is another thing. So the teachers should tell you that to plus verbs present form makes an infinitive, and it can also be used before present participle, gerund, or past participle. But as an infinitive, it is only to plus verbs present form, and you should not use past form of verb with to make it an infinitive. Hope you might have understood it. Past tense with definite past time. The third point of my lecture is past tense with definite past time. I wrote sentences here. The doorbell rang at 8 o'clock. This is a sentence taken from your first lesson, button. The doorbell rang at 8 o'clock, and I want to tell you that you want to write something 7 o'clock, 4 o'clock, you have to write it like this. You have to write O capital and apostrophe. Apostrophe O capital. The doorbell rang at 8 o'clock. Pakistan came into being on 14th August 1947. I met my old friend last evening. He was punished by the teacher yesterday. Let me write another sentence here. Eight o'clock in the past is a definite past time. 8 o'clock. On 14th August 1947, date, month, year, definite past time. Last evening, the evening which has gone by yesterday. Yesterday means the day before, and 1 year ago, the year before, which is 2019. These all are definite past times, and when you use definite past time, you only use past tense, which is verbs past form, the verb's second form. The doorbell rang at, verbs past tense, verbs past form. Pakistan came into being, verbs past form. I met verbs past form. He was punished by the teacher yesterday. This is passive voice of past tense. Helping verb plus verbs past participle means passive voice of past tense. And I bought this house, bought verbs past form. So the conclusion is, whenever you see any definite past time, you will translate your sentences in past tense with the past form of verb. The fourth point of my lecture is use of had better, had rather, would rather, had sooner. Whenever you see any of these four, you use bare infinitive after that. I'll give you an example. For example, you had sooner post this letter. For example, I write a letter. Or someone hands me over a letter and asks me to post it. I'll ask the person, when should I post this letter? And he says, you had sooner post this letter. Had sooner is an adverb of time telling when should. Had sooner, as soon as possible, as early as possible. You had sooner. This is an adverb of time. You can also say this is an adverb. You had sooner post this letter. You had sooner post this letter. And post is verb's present form. Verb's present form without to is called bare infinitive. To plus verb's present form is infinitive, and verb's present form without to is called bare infinitive. If you use any of these four in your sentences, you will use bare infinitive after them. Had better, had rather, would rather, had sooner will follow bare infinitives. Number 5, use of just and yet. Just and yet both are used in present perfect tenses. Present perfect tense, but their use is different. I have completed my work just now. I have not completed my work yet. Just now I have completed, present perfect tense, but assertive structure of present perfect tense. Yet, present perfect tense, but I have not completed, negative structure of present perfect tense. I have completed my work just now. So you can say just is used in assertive sentences of present perfect tense, and yet is used in negative sentences of present perfect tense. This is what I had got for you today. I hope you will enjoy my lecture, and I'll come up with another lecture at some time. Stay tuned with our channel and take care of yourself. May Allah save us from the disease spread around. Ameen. And what I do in my lectures is, while I'm teaching you translation or I'm going on with my lessons, I elaborate the grammatical concepts on the board at the same time. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.